I gave him 30 minutes.
You
I
gave him
told him,
30 minutes?
yeah, like,
Okay. So we are going through
okay,
this.
hold on. I got a surprise. I'm recording right now. So, no, I just started recording right now. You know how I have had a backlog of, what's it called? Episodes because of corrupted files and bad audio recordings?
Yeah.
Um, well, with my birthday money, I got a new microphone.
Oh, sick.
Let's
Is that why
go.
you literally you literally were talking to your camera just to do that reveal? That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's awesome.
that's awesome. It's so much better now. All I have to do is work on your guys' audio instead of mine. So, welcome to That Young Cineast. My name is Matthew, and I am That Young Cineast. Today, as always, we are joined by Kaylin and Emma,
Hello.
and today's benchmark is April 9th. Today is very special because we are joined by a guest once again, Mr. Hartl.
Thank you,
Hello.
Matthew. Yeah, Forrest Hartl
Yeah.
from Norwalk, California.
Today I'm just gonna be asking you about your journey through the film industry and like anything young people aspiring to be in the industry can take away from it. So to start things off, how did you begin your journey into the film industry? What sparked your interest?
I think it was definitely the theater was with the bridge to it because I would write as a kid, but you don't think you're gonna do anything with the stories. You're just writing because you like it, and I never thought anything of it. And then in college, I took an improv class that a friend got me to take with him, and then you're on your feet. You're kind of making things up on the spot, um, and it just kind of sparked that interest in acting and writing, which I then majored in theater, worked in theater, and taught theater for uh, several years, and then started to show an interest. You're around other theater people; they're all doing film as well, just because you want to work in as many. You need work, you need jobs, so you do theater, you do TV and commercials and film and stuff. So it just kind of sparked my interest, and I'd written a lot of scripts for theater, so I adapted one of my plays for a short film, and just kind of budgeted myself to shoot it independently, and it kind of just started from there, and just kept working in the industry through relationships from there.
Kaylin, you got something?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna ask, do you think a lot of your other opportunities and experiences came from networking like that where, you like you said, you start working together in theater and you start branching out from there and
Yeah, I really do. Like I could look at things I've done and tell you like exactly it was this person that I had worked with before. Very few credits on my resume are like where strangers hired me. Like I think that happens, and for people that happens to, that's great. But I've also had to do a lot of things independently just through the relationships that I've built along the way.
Um, just like a general question, what was the first like big project that you like were heavily involved in, and what were you doing for it?
Probably out of college, I interned at Warner Brothers for Steve Carell's production company, and what I was doing was something called coverage, which I don't know if you know. Coverage is like they don't actually, if they send a script to Steve Carell, he's not going to read it. He has somebody like me reading it and then writing a summary of it so that he can just kind of see the like what the character is, what the movie is. And so I did coverage on over like 100 scripts for Steve Carell, and then at the time he had a production company where he was choosing what movies he wanted to do because The Office was kind of wrapping up for him before he left. But he was like very, he's very big at that time, still is, and so the first production was called Crazy Stupid Love, and romantic comedy, great cast. I mean, loaded cast, right? Ryan Gosling, Julianne Moore, Kevin Bacon, and so I worked. I was like the lowest person on the totem pole at that time, but I was like a PA on the camera in the camera department. So all those memes of Crazy Stupid Love where Ryan Gosling's like trying not to laugh. I was like right behind the camera, getting to watch all that in like Glendale or Glendora or something. So that was probably undoubtedly the biggest production I was a part of.
now leading into that, because I know you said that kind of came from an internship. Were you doing in college besides like improv that might have led to the ability to like get that opportunity?
Uh, it's it is the relationship of knowing somebody, but it's also that you're that I was doing the work at the time. I wasn't just a guy like going, well, I know somebody that knows Steve Carell, but I had been working, I'd been finishing up my master's, and then had been out working, and then my theater professor was also Steve Carell's theater professor, so he had taught us both, and I just kind of jokingly said, "Hey, put in a word for me," and he goes, "Okay, I will." And then so then through that, and I was just graduating, I was able to do the internship.
Um, what college did you like um go to?
There's been a few. I didn't know coming out of high school what I wanted to do, so I went to community college here in Norwalk, Cerritos College, and then I transferred to Berkeley to study acting, and then got rejected from grad school two or three times, and then eventually landed back at USC for grad school.
Oh,
So
dang.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's no like one like I didn't know I didn't never went to film school. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and then it just kind of started to snowball. Once I figured out what I wanted to do, then I really wanted to work as much as I could and learn as much as I could.
Did you? Maybe you answered this before and I missed it, but grad school, you went to school for um, the industry or like in film
Uh,
entertainment or?
it was still theater. As an undergrad, it was acting, and in grad school, it was writing. I wanted to, yeah, I wanted to write and still do, but I like doing both. And then improv is kind of like writing and acting at the same time. It's just kind of cool that way or challenging that way. So yeah, I've always had multiple interests and I direct a little bit and I teach as well. So there's a lot of different jobs you can do uh, they focus so much on acting, but there's a lot of different jobs that can be done, right?
Hmm.
That's really cool. So you got your MFA at USC? Like
Correct.
a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
well funded program, they do.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting you're talking about all this intersectionality of your different interests and how you're incorporating them into being in the film industry. And I think it's really funny you talk about being a PA. I have a couple of friends doing that now, and it's crazy work. But how did you refine your skills if you did feel that you had so many different talents that you want to tap into?
That's a good question because I don't know if you guys are like this, but like I don't know. I kind of okay. I've had enough of acting. I want to start writing now. Then I get kind of bounced into this direction, and now I want to collaborate with somebody, and now I want to work by myself. So it's been I keep taking classes, even though I like LA has workshops and classes. I try to keep, you know, collaborating with other people because you learn so much from them. And then when I'm in the classroom, I learn a lot from, being in the classroom with students. So I feel like I had a professor that said, do something every day for your job, right? Like just do one thing, send an email to someone, read something, hear a podcast. And it just felt uh, like it came from that, from just always, daily practicing it in some shape or form.
Because you joined, I guess, like started getting involved in the industry like later, like after you turned 18 in college. What do you think would be the best approach for people my age to begin their journey into?
That's a good question, Matthew, because I mean, I don't know that I have the best advice other than to maybe collect as much advice from as many different sources, and then you can kind of decide what speaks to you. Because anyone that says, oh, I've got the shortcut, oh, I've got the secret sauce, like just like I'm not on TikTok, but I see people repost TikTok advice givers for the industry, and it's some of really bad misinformation. So you don't want to rely on some kind of snake oil salesman that's going to tell you the secret way to get your film made. Um, so I would say, like, yeah, just consult as many sources as you can. Because it's tough out there for the film industry. It's very competitive, and there's
Hmm.
a lot of productions that might try to take advantage of your services or get you to work for nothing, or promises, and so it's like you gotta. It's kind of a big jungle out there. I would say. Yeah.
Um, uh,
Do you think there's an easy way of, or maybe not an easy way, but do you think there's a way to become a PA on some kind of production other than just like knowing somebody? Like, is there a way to actively try to get into a studio or get onto a production other than just connections?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know.
I was just wondering.
But
Just using that as a jumping off point really quickly, I don't mean to interrupt, but I do know that PAing, you do get some kind of experience of that in college. As you talked about, you were in the theater, you worked in the theater space, and I'm not too familiar with either theater or film, but I do know that there are a lot of transferable skills there. So would you say that a theater background is what helped you get into this field, or is there a different course you could take? Also, 10-minute mark.
there are yeah, absolutely, there's transferable skills, and like being on in rehearsal or on set for like long hours, and being cool in the room and working well with others, like those are all kind of, you need those for any of those kind of industries. That's but the who thing is like, I'm not the expert on that. It just seems like relationships do matter, and not always at like that very high level of like, oh, they're a nepotism and this or that, but just like how you're working with people day to day. They notice, they'll think of you if they're looking for somebody to recommend. If they, if you were doing well and doing right by everybody, they're going to think of you, and you're going to get a phone call one day of like, hey, they're looking for somebody. Do you want to do this? And it happens that way, in ways that I never saw coming. It just happened, like, oh, they're calling me. So it to me, it's like always just being reliable, on time, easy going in the room kind of thing. Like that gets you, I don't know, that gets like good things going.
It gets you
That
noticed.
makes
It keeps
sense.
people keeps you in people's mind as someone that you're willing to work with or they're willing to work with. So
Yeah, because it's a gig. It's like a gig based, thing. So it's everyone's kind of like working project to project. So you're looking out for other people. They're looking out for you, and you're just kind of piecing this thing together, which is cool because there's always variety. But then there's the uncertainty of like, where's my next gig coming from? So it's just something to think about.
I see. So you talk about this being gig based and who you know, and it sounds like you are a very creative person yourself. Like you have a lot of vision for the art you want to create. On top of being able to participate in all of these other projects that other people put on, how do you honor your own creativity?
Wow. Uh, um, that's a good question. Writing helps me do that, because if you're not working, I can just always go to Starbucks and just be writing, and that keeps me feeling like I'm creating what I want to create. Uh, and you definitely want to be in situations collaborating with people that are excited to collaborate with you. So you build your tribe, so to speak, of like people that are like minded and sense of humor that are similar. So um, being for me, I like doing both. I like being off solitary working on something, and then I like working with other people until I'm drained of of that, and then want to go solo again. So it's just, for me, I'm trying to mix it up and do a little bit of both.
you say that you go off writing to just like release all your creativity, but have you had any of your like pieces turned into a production that you've worked on?
In theater a lot, because it, budgets are friendlier for theater, so you can produce a lot more often in theater. And then and then in terms of film, I've had a couple short films, and then my feature film has just been released, in the last 6 months or so. So I've been able to yep, do a lot more in theater. But the three big pieces for me in film are also, well, the two shorts in the feature. That's what I've got.
how far from being a PA to doing the short film, your first short film, I think it was Wexican.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What was like the the journey from there to that.
Yeah, thanks. That was about 3 years, I believe, from Crazy Stupid Love to going. I want to do something for film. I want to do something in the film media format, and so yeah, I would have been continuing to write those 3 years, and then thought to myself, well, what I want to try something in terms of film, and I think I asked around again, friends I knew through theater who also do film, and in the Wexican, Al Patino plays my grandfather, and he had been working in film, big films. He was in Bowfinger with Eddie Murphy and Steve Martin, so classic and for me, and he goes, yeah, I'll work with you on this, and he taught me a lot, and got me ready, and then just pieced together, who do I know that works a camera, who do I know that does this, who's produced before. So, and then I need a little bit of a budget. People were working for favors, so I was going to feed them, and that was kind of going to be the often your pay is food and a credit, right? So I was doing it like everybody, like so many short filmmakers are doing it. They're just figuring out a way to get it done. And then who do I know that edits? It was all just asking around the whole way.
I mean, I feel like that's the only way to do it at that time. It's just band of friends or band of acquaintances kind of putting this thing together. Where are you getting your budget from in cases like that? Are you like
For
crowdfunding or like?
out of pocket.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, yeah. At that point, I was teaching, so I was able to save there, and so um, and because coming from a theater background, you're always thinking on a tight budget for theater. So it sort of worked out for me with these films because I was always in the mindset of like, how can I keep this in as few locations as possible? How can I have as tight a cast as I can, and really focus on the dialogue and the characters, and really play down the anything that would run the budget up. So the theater helped in that way too, just because you're thinking in terms of one location.
Do you think having? I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends project per project, but for you, do you think it affects your creativity in any way? Does it challenge it, or is it easier to work on those kind of more limited, budget, having more limited cast and a limited setting?
I don't. I think it helps. I think it helps to have structure or limits, because then you can think of how much you can do within that. But because when on an improv stage, you can do anything
Yeah.
on an improv stage, and the audience will go along with it. But with film, you do need to eventually see like the bigger budget stuff. Um, so I think I'd love to have bigger budgets to write with, but I'm also used to figuring out how to make the most out of it with character and dialogue, as opposed to thinking of like big explosions and car chases and things that I would never have the money to to make. So yeah.
Say you make your first two your short films, and then you go on to something like Free Lunch,
Mm-hmm.
which is like your recent feature film.
Mm-hmm.
What was like the journey from there to there? Were you able to bring more acquaintances in? Is it now you're actually being able to hire people and get a bigger budget for that?
Yeah, we needed to raise money for a feature, because I think the short, I don't know if I made it for $1,000, the short, maybe even less, and you need to pay people for the feature. You need I wanted to take on the challenge of a full length and seeing where it could stream and all that. And but my director Christina Nava had produced several films before before me, for like feature length films, and she said, this is what you absolutely have to pay for. She knew what you could get away with a favor with, and then but no, you need this for these people. And mainly behind the camera people, because actors are work for free and a lot more readily. So you get actors to come in, and good actors, and get them hopefully deferred payments or some other compensation. But
Like a
but
cut of whatever it makes, profits and stuff.
correct, yeah. But crew want to get paid that day.
Yeah, for sure.
How did what was the connection between you and the director, Christina Nava? Like, how did you guys meet and start collaborating with each other?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of touched on this already. We went to college together, and we acted in like a play together. And then she went off. She transferred. We transferred to different schools, and she ended up, graduating and meeting her husband, who together as a husband and wife team, they produced movie after movie. So by the time she wanted to direct her first movie and she wanted to direct a kids movie, I said, hey, I got this kids script that I wrote. And so we started having meetings and kind of polishing up the script, making it, rewriting some scenes for budget, and figuring out how we could get, getting it in the can, as they say, for like, under $100,000, and really just kind of bringing in a couple producers that brought in money. And then to edit, we crowdfunded for the post production. So it was very much like a step along. Okay, we have enough to make it. Now we need to raise a little more money to finish it. And then raise a little more money to promote it. And it was like, definitely, I learned a lot from stage to stage through the process.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, like, do you know how much the budget ended up being for something like that? Because you went from
Uh,
like $1,000 production in a short film to now like this bigger budget, and it's just,
yeah, I
I mean, you don't have to.
no, 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 no. It was around 100,000.
Okay.
Yeah, it ended up being around 100,000. And the only reason I paused was because I can't remember if we included like the promotional part of that, or if that 100 was just to shoot it. So I was just, because I didn't
No,
handle
yeah.
the spreadsheets there. So
No, you're good. I was
yeah.
just wondering.
Did you guys happen to, was it straight to like the theaters and streaming, or did you guys apply to film festivals? And if so, what was the process to that?
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing that goes into budget, is paying those entry fees for festivals, which is a whole nother jungle out there. Like we went through the festival circuit for about a year, and we were in 4 or 5 different festivals. We took awards home at pretty much every one of them, and you meet some people, and you meet and you make some other contacts, and then around that time, as it's ending, you're looking for distribution. And so we had meetings with different streamers. We had people repping it to like, sell it. And we ended up with a distributor called Indie Rights, and they put it for rental on a couple of platforms like Amazon Prime. And now just recently we went over to Tubi, and so we're streaming on Tubi as well. So
Nice.
and it still feels kind of fresh, like it was just Thanksgiving when it came out, but you kind of gotta have word of mouth building and kind of keep promoting it and sharing it, so things like that.
Do you think that submitting to the circuit for this film, like, how did it differ from even the first few? Because you won awards for Wexican, right? Too, and it did. So,
Yeah, the festivals are it's a strange, weird kind of thing, and I'm not like the biggest extrovert, and festivals are kind of like parties where you're just sort of celebrating the films that are there, kind of like you watch the Oscars or Golden Globes. It just seems like a big party. So for like a weekend, you're just, you know rubbing elbows and hanging out with all these other filmmakers, and so I feel like it's a part of it is how much do you want to live in that world and be promoting, because that's a big part. It's not just the making of the film, but then going out and selling it, being kind of a salesman for it. And I don't think that everyone has to do that, but in at the indie film level, it feels like you kind of have to be part of that, online promoting, keeping people informed. um and so every festival has, just like every party has a different vibe. Every festival had a different kind of feel to it, if it was a family thing or if it was a more Hollywood red carpet thing. Yeah, every festival has its own kind of personality.
So it sounds like you've talked about a lot, that we've talked about your journey through the film industry, that you felt that networking played a large role in it, and you were able to tailor your education in a way that you felt best cultivated your interest and also put you out in the field a little bit more. I really like that you talked about your experience in film festivals. I feel like that is something Matthew has expressed interest in, and I'm sure he will ask you a lot more questions about that. But just to wrap up a little bit here, I wanted to ask, I know we already asked you about advice you could give to Matthew as a teenager starting out in film, but is there any hope you can give him in what the industry is like now or where it's headed?
Or
Yeah,
no
I
hope.
mean,
That's
I'm gonna kick
yeah,
you out
I
of the
mean,
call.
I mean, they're trying to bring more projects back to LA. I read or heard somewhere that Governor Newsom put some legislation in, and they're thinking it'll take a couple of years, but it's going to bring projects back to LA. So that's always good because you're a couple of years away from entering that field, possibly, right? Yeah, I mean, the thing I would say is just kind of keep building the network and relationships with people because you can't do it alone, and you're resourceful, and I know that you're involved in a lot of different stuff, Matthew, so it's like just keep doing what you're doing, and it's going to build and grow, and then you're going to get that call or that text where you're like, oh, this opportunity has presented itself. So you like the reason I heard from you're doing this podcast is to make that decision, right?
Yeah.
This is a great step forward in that direction, and just keep doing things like this, and it's going to kind of grow in ways that you're going to be surprised at. That's the hope I have when I keep checking in on people I've collaborated with, liking their stuff, making comments, just kind of keeping the relationships going. That's the kind of stuff that just you're gonna stay in their orbit, and things are gonna come from that. um
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me everything that, like, giving me in depth and all answering all these questions. It's actually kind of helpful to talk to someone instead of Google, you know. So thank you. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me, and I want to hear more of the podcast. So definitely keep it going, and you can always hit me up anytime with a question or whatever. Just yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Am I
It
signing
was
off?
great
Yeah.
meeting
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great talking with you all. All
Yeah.
right, I'll be listening.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Yo,
So
how do you
you're
feel?
now
Yo.
say thank you to me and Emma for carrying that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to. Thank you
No, I'm
guys
kidding.
actually so much. I
I'm
was
kidding.
really
I'm kidding.
nervous. I couldn't.
No.
I couldn't
You're
think of
good.
a
You're good.
freaking question for the life of me.
Dude, the way that you would ask questions, I know we like all had our own. Emma
Yeah.
was the most like coherent, and I was just like, so with the, and then you just have you being like, so
So,
yeah, what
film
is it?
festivals, you know.
I
No,
know.
you're
I was like,
good.
take a shot every time Kaylin says
Hey, Matthew started every question with He's cool. He's chill.
Yeah, he's chill. Thanks to him for not like keeping it chill, you know. I was really, freaking
He's your friend's dad, right?
yeah.
I think
Okay, so he knows how to deal with 16-year-olds. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like
I
he
mean,
wasn't coming into this.
my friend is now I think he's at college studying the same sort of thing as Mr. Hartl. And yeah, I know that Mr. Hartl was talking about like taking classes and courses and just meeting people wherever he can. So after, I guess, the whole process through my school, I was invited to go to a 9-day basically camp of like major in my choice at a college. So somewhere in the summer for 9 days, I will be at a college studying film production and screenwriting. Film production and screenwriting. So I looked at the schedule. It's like 48-second film festival, like screenwriter, speaker, a bunch of speakers every day, and we get to tour. I guess Warner Brothers Studio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that's a cool little summer, meet people that were actually invited to go to that event, you know. Hopefully I can actually meet people there. I would have a roommate for 7 days, so get in that
Fun.
college experience early.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, it's a good experience.
Right, Emma?
I
Right?
so fun.
Thank you for listening to That Young Cineast. My name is Matthew, and I have been that young Cineast. Today was April 9th, and thank you to Kaylin and Emma, as
Thank you,
always.
guys.
And thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Hartle.
Yeah,
Don't
thank you,
forget
Mr.
about
Hartl.
that. That was
Yeah,
really
Mr.
fun.
Hartle.
Thank you. Bye bye.